biratangaje. Ese tubayeho ikoranabuhanga, gukora imodoka mu buryo bw'umuneke nabyo ni ibintu kimwe mu bintu bitangaje. Abavumbura baracyavumbura, bagenda biga ikintu runaka bakaba bagikoramo ikindi kintu runaka gishobora kuba cyakwamamara cyane. Ari imodoka ifite amapine hasi no hejuru, nabyo ni ibintu bitangaje. Tubaye mu isi y'ikoranabuhanga cyane.
Designed as a city car, it was advertised. We all have that one car we love and hope to own one day. And we all know that one person who loves the fancy cars or high-powered cars. Some vehicles are no longer made like the really old ones, so collectors want to own them.
I think it's so unique, so rare. I mean, can we have a look at that too?
Other vehicles are newer and have many safety modifications like a backup camera or motion sensors. From the 1970 Ferrari to the big banana car, here are the top 15 most unusual cars in the world. Humrider. The Humrider is a car that can literally drive over other cars. It'd be a great car to be in when stuck in traffic. The Humrider is a custom-made SUV fitted with hydraulics that elevate it 5 feet into the air. This is what allows it to drive over other vehicles. And with its slight transformation at the push of a button, the Humrider is sure to be very popular. The concept of the Humrider was thought up by Scott Beverly, a man behind many visual effects for sci-fi movies. The SUV system is powered by a gasoline Honda generator that pumps fluid through 300 feet of hydraulic lines. The structure of the Humrider was heavily modified, leaving the finished product to weigh a total of 8,500 pounds. If you're wondering how he drives over cars and seas, there are 4 cameras located beneath the Humrider's body. This allows the driver to see what's going on beneath him. However, the Humrider will not be entering mass production anytime soon. It was a unique custom design. Imagine being able to drive over cars when you're in a hurry, but it may cause the people beneath a bit of road rage, driving over them and all. 1953 General Motors Firebird 3 XP21. By 1953, a research team had produced the Firebird XP21, which was later referred to as the Firebird 3. It's essentially a jet plane on wheels. It was the first gas turbine-powered car to be tested in the United States. The design was anything but practical. It had a bubble-topped canopy over a single-seat cockpit and a bullet-shaped fuselage made entirely of fiberglass. It also had short wings and a vertical tail fin. It has a 370-horsepower Whirlfire turbo-powered gas turbine engine, which allows it to have 2 speeds. It expels jet exhaust at around 1,250 degrees Fahrenheit, and the entire vehicle weighs 2,500 pounds with a 1-inch wheelbase. Conklin was the only person that was qualified to drive the car at first. He tested it up to 100 miles per hour, but after shifting into second gear, he lost traction and slowed down in fear of crashing. The car was later driven by race car driver Maury Rose at the Indianapolis Speedway. Surprisingly, it was never intended to test the power and speed of the car, only the usability of it. The braking system differs from the standard drum systems, with the drums located on the outside so they can cool faster. The wings also have aircraft-style flaps for slowing down at higher speeds. 1955 Chrysler Ghia Streamline X Gilda. This one-off creation debuted at the 1955 Turin Auto Show.
Wow.
It was carefully preserved inside the Ford Museum, then later was privately owned.
We're here with the 1955 Ghia Streamliner X.
It's turbine-powered and fully running. It's one of the most influential design studies in automotive history and has been displayed as a feature car in many of the world's leading automotive exhibits. Since the late 1920s, designers and manufacturers have sought out to better the quality of aerodynamic or streamlined styles for cars. During the European marketing campaign for the classic Gilda, which was Rita Hayworth's nickname, it prompted the makers to nickname their Streamline X Gilda. The Streamline X's style is from the work of Italian designer Giovanni Savanucci, who was commissioned by Chrysler design chief Virgil Exner to help explore solutions for crosswind resistance, rear-end grip, and turbine power. The finished product is quite stylish, even having short armrests to help support the driver and passenger during turns. 1970 Ferrari Pininfarina F12S Modulo. The Ferrari F12S Modulo is a sports car by concept. It was designed by Paolo Martin of the Italian Pininfarina Bodyworks and was first shown at the 1970 Geneva Motor Show. The Modulo is a very low-to-the-ground car with a wedge-shaped body and has a canopy-style glass roof that slides forward so you're able to enter the car from the front. All four wheels on the car are partially covered. Another design feature are 24 holes in the engine cover. This reveals the Ferrari V12 engine that develops 550 horsepower, which allows the vehicle to reach a top speed of 220 miles per hour. It also goes from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3 seconds. 1936 Stout Scarab. The Stout Scarab is an American car built in the 1930s. Most consider it to be an early minivan. It was designed by William B. Stout, who was a motorcar and aviation journalist and engineer. After William came up with the design, Stout Engineering Laboratories manufactured it. Later on down the road, Stout Motor Car Company of Detroit, Michigan also manufactured it. It had a removable table inside of it and second-row seats that turned 180 degrees so they could face the rear, which became a feature marketed by Chrysler 50 years later called Swivel and Go. In 1946, an experimental prototype became the world's first car with a fiberglass body shell and air suspension. Norman Tibbs Special. This was a project that took over 3 years to complete, but the results were worth it. Tibbs was an automotive engineer who even worked with Preston Tucker on the Tucker automobiles. Tibbs later built several Indy racing specials.
What a feel. What an amazing feel.
Several comprehensive drawings later and a quarter-scale clay model of several potential ideas, the Norman Tibbs project began. The clay models were shortly followed by wooden models that incorporated several of the more pleasing design aspects. Emil Diet hand-formed the aluminum body, and the chassis was constructed from aircraft tubing. Directly behind the driver's seat was a Buick straight 8 motor. The rear body of the car had special hydraulic operations that allowed the car to raise up and lower with just the touch of a button. It was nearly 18 feet in length and was 47 inches high, from the floor to the top of the windshield. The design of the car was actually influenced by several pre-World War II race cars. It had similarities to the aerodynamics of the Grand Prix cars, although the Norman was built for the road, not the racetracks. By mid-1950s, it had been repainted and was owned by Air Force officer Jim Davis, later left deteriorating in a desert. However, in 2002, it was auctioned off for $17,600, and the owner began restoration. The Norman still has 90% of its original body. 1970 Lancia Bertone Stratos HF0. The Lancia Stratos Zero was first shown to the public at the Turin Motor Show in 1970. The bodywork was designed by Marcello Gandini and looked quite futuristic. It also had a 1.6-liter Lancia Fulvia V4 engine. Marcello was the head designer at Bertone. The car's body is wedge-shaped, and the final color was a distinctive orange. The Lancia Stratos Zero was sitting in Bertone's museum for many years, and in 2011, it was sold for $855,780 during an auction in Italy. It's been shown off in the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles in the exhibit Sculpture in Motion, Masterpieces of Italian Design. In 2014, it was located at the High Museum of Art in Atlanta at the Dream Cars exhibit. It was on loan from the X.J. Wang collection of New York City, and it even appeared in Michael Jackson's 1988 film Moonwalker. 1935 Bugatti Type 57S Competition Coupe Aerolith. The car's name really rolls off the tongue quite nicely. Bugatti. Even if it isn't much of a car compared to the name, it's still really an unusual car. This car, sadly, was not very popular when it was built. It was so new and futuristic that people didn't even know they wanted speed and nimbleness yet. However, 80 years later, it's just what supercar buyers want now. Light and smooth was the main goal of this car's shape when being built, but people during that time were afraid to drive anything that went faster than 30 miles per hour. The Bugatti were lightweight, low-drag machines with 2 swoopy doors, which is seen more today than in the time it was built. The Bugatti could go as fast as 75 miles per hour before the tires and brakes would become an issue. Maybe. 1948 Tasco. Burig was an accomplished engineer and stylist who has included in his resume the Auburn 851 Speedster, the coffin-nosed Cord 810-812, and several other variants of Duesenberg's Model J. He was called to the American sports car company, Tasco, to create an American sports car. He drew out a 2-seater with a long hood and short deck, but added an unusual amount of aerodynamics to the design. Vents on either side of the grille directed air to the radiator, and the front wheels were almost impossible to see due to them being covered by directional fenders, which were made on molded fiberglass. The Tasco's tapered rear end looked eerily similar to a small plane, but the best feature was a see-through roof that could be removed to let the wind in. In 1948, a car with no roof was unheard of. The aluminum body was built by the Philadelphia-based Durham Body Company and was mounted on a 1947 Mercury frame that had been extensively modified. The power came from a regular production flathead V8. 2001 BMW Gina Light Visionary model. The construction began in 2001, and the finished product was presented in 2008. The Gina is a fabric-skinned, shape-shifting sports car concept built by BMW. They claim the water-resistant, elastic, translucent, man-made fabric skin, polyurethane-coated spandex, is resilient and durable. It manages to resist high and low temperatures, doesn't swell or shrink, and movement does not damage the fabric. The body changes its shape according to the speed and exterior conditions. The fabric has been stretched over a frame with moving parts. The shape of the frame is controlled by many different electric and hydraulic actuators. Example, the headlights are revealed when small motors pull apart the fabric, and the engine can be accessed through a slit that opens up down the middle of the bonnet. Because the fabric is translucent, the tail lights shine through it. Its skin appears seamless, but it can grow out of its rear spoiler for stability when going at high speeds. Gina has only 4 panels: the bonnet, the 2 side panels, and the trunk. Its doors open in a style that resembles a butterfly, and both doors are covered by a piece of fabric that reaches the nose of the car that trails along the sides. When the doors are closed, it leaves a perfectly smooth surface. 1959 Cadillac Cyclone. The Cyclone was never mass-produced as a production model, and it currently lives inside the GM Heritage Collection. It was one of the last cars designed by Harley Earl and was a testbed for futuristic styling and technology. Built upon a 104-inch wheelbase chassis, it featured a 390 engine in the front and a rear-mounted automatic transaxle. It also had all-wheel independent suspension. The engine exhaust was ported out just ahead of the front wheels. It also featured a radar-operated collision avoidance system. The radar sensors were located in the twin nose cones at the front of the vehicle. One of the most prominent stylistic features of the Cyclone was the bubble-top canopy, which was coated in silver for UV protection. The doors and canopy were automatically operated. The design was based on 1950s aviation and rocket designs. The original design had larger tail fins, which were then reduced in size in 1964 to look more like the Cadillac we know circa 1963 to 1964. Banana car. There are cars that are designed for safety or attraction, but then there is the banana car. Even its name is intriguing. With the help of Mutant Brothers Fabrication Studios, Steve Braithwaite turned a 1993 Ford F-150 4x4 into a giant banana that rolls around. He tours the world in it, even appearing at fairs and similar events and giving kids a ride.
Can we touch it?
Sure you can.
The best part is a state trooper gave it the seal of approval in the form of a $20 bill. Steve was stopped by a curious state trooper on his 1,400-mile adventure to Texas. Steve and the state trooper exchanged a few interesting stories, and the cop ran his plates, which ironically read, "Split," then gave Steve his license back, wrapped in a $20 bill. The banana car has reached top speeds of 85 miles per hour and gets 15 miles to the gallon. The conversion to the banana car took around 2 years and $25,000. Some elements that were used are sculpted polyurethane foam-covered fiberglass, chicken wire, and reinforced steel bars. The banana car made it into the Guinness World Record book for being the longest banana car. And the shortest, since it's the only one of its kind. It has a length of almost 23 feet. Pool table car. Triangle Billiards Incorporated and The Customizer have teamed up to build one of the most unique vehicles the world has ever seen. It's a fully drivable, 100-mile-per-hour, one-of-a-kind pool table car.
It's like a party mobile. You can take it to the party and you can be the party.
It even has sponsors: Brunswick Billiards Corp., McDermott Custom Cues, MA Audio, Ticket to Ride, and Luminite Core. Over the next years, the pool table car is going to be seen by millions of different people from around the world. It'll be making appearances at trade shows, car museums, corporate events, and parties of all types around the world. Upside down Ford F-150. A man had an incredible idea to build a car that looks like it's been flipped upside down. Rick Sullivan spent 6 months and $6,000 building his upside-down truck from the parts of 2 vehicles.
People are amazed. I mean, it's one of those things that when you first see it, it's hard to recognize what it is.
It's created from a 1991 Ford Ranger pickup truck with a 1995 F-150 pickup truck placed over the top, upside down, of course. He can even drive it on the roads legally. It's complete with spinning wheels and a license plate that reads Flip Over. He built it at his collision center in Clinton, Illinois, that him and his wife own. He got the idea to build it when he saw the Ford being brought to his center, all 4 wheels sticking straight up in the air, and thought that would be interesting to see driving down the road. Peel P50. Designed as a city car, it was advertised in the 1960s as a one-person and shopping car. The car only had 1 door on its left side, and it was equipped with a single windshield wiper and headlight. It was listed in the Guinness World Record book as the smallest production car ever made in 2010. The car also has no reverse gear. Instead, there's a handle at the back of the car that allows you to pull it back. They made it a very lightweight car, so that was possible. There are only 27 models left that are known in the world. One was even sold for $176,000 at a Sotheby's auction in 2016. In 2010, Peel Engineering Limited in England started remaking the P50, but had slightly modified it. It's still very similar to the original. They even added in a reverse gear, easier steering, and different mechanical suspensions.
Top speed rather depends on how big you are.
4-stroke engine models are being produced, as well as electric models with mopped motor and Geld electrolyte batteries. However, the top speed of both cars is about 28 miles per hour. There are your top 15 most unusual cars in the world. So which of these cars were your favorite? And have you ever seen any of them in person? Maybe you've spotted the banana car or upside-down Ford strolling down the street. From strange fabric cars that actually look pretty awesome to cars that you can play a game of pool on. If you ever had the chance, would you want to drive any of these cars? If so, why and which one would you choose?